Before the NFL Draft Combine in Indianapolis, many people looked at the tight end class as one of the weakest units in the draft. And while it still isn't the strongest group, there are still some very solid options who really separated themselves and showcased some elite athleticism for their position group. One of the guys who truly wowed at the Combine was Penn State tight end Theo Johnson, a player who athletically tested out of this world and has started to earn himself serious day 2 hype. How high should he be taken in the 2024 NFL Draft? That is what we will be talking about in today's video. But hey guys, if you guys are new to the channel, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. Leave a comment and let me know which players you guys want to see me talk about in the next video, and without further ado, let's get into it. When you look at the box scores, Theo Johnson really hasn't been very productive for the Nittanylions over the last couple of seasons. In 2022, as the number 2 tight end behind Brenton Strange, Johnson had 20 receptions for 328 yards and 4 touchdowns. The numbers were nothing to write home about, and nothing really crazy. His 2023 season was more of the same. He finished with 34 receptions for 341 yards and 7 touchdowns. Once again, the numbers weren't amazing, but after absolutely lighting up the draft combine, many people see him as one of the best tight ends in this class with super high upside. Johnson has awesome size at the tight end position. He's big, he's tall, he's got long arms, and he has the ideal frame for the tight end position. He stands at 6'5", 257 pounds, and I love the size he offers. His 10-inch hands and 81-inch wingspan are also incredible for his position as well, and from a pure size standpoint, Johnson has it. As a receiver, I really like the upside in which Johnson possesses. While he still is untapped as a receiver, you can certainly see the potential. He's a pretty solid route runner, and I thought he did a pretty good job at selling his routes and gaining separation in the middle of the field. He also wasn't strictly an inline tight end. He played a little in the slot, and I really liked what he showed once again as a route runner. Another thing that makes his upside as a receiving tight end intriguing are his hands. We mentioned how he has big hands, and he plays like it. He hardly showed any drops on tape. He's strong at the catch point, and he did a great job at winning the contested catches. I think his receiving upside is certainly there. Johnson as a blocker is a bit up and down for me. When he's in space and can move into the second level, I actually thought he did a fantastic job at landing some bigger blocks. But when he was asked to be an inline blocker attached to the line of scrimmage, he really struggled. He was run over at times, and he didn't have a strong enough anchor. I think he has good upside as a blocker in space, but could struggle as an inline blocker at the NFL level. He just needs to improve his consistency. I think he could be a very good player. Johnson, when going up against zone coverage, seemed to really struggle to just settle and find the soft spots in the zone. He seemed to constantly be drifting away, and he didn't have the best reps against zone coverage, which is another area I would like to see improve. The last area of Johnson that is interesting is his burst in speed. I know how well he tested at the Combine. He had the second fastest 40 of any of the tight ends that competed in the Combine. But when you watch him on tape, he does not play that fast. He has some speed, but he is not that quick. His burst off the line of scrimmage is also pretty slow at times, and he's a bit slow into his stance. His lack of game speed especially shows up in yard after catch opportunities. He didn't do a great job of creating big plays after the catch, and his game speed is not the same as his test speed. Theo Johnson has an awesome RAS score, and the upside with him is certainly there. He can be a space blocker, and his receiving ability, while unpolished, is still pretty solid for what he is at this point. I think he could take a couple of seasons to truly find his stride in the NFL, as is common for tight ends, but he is my number 4 tight end in the class. Outside of Brock Bowers, I think he has the highest ceiling of any of these tight ends, and I think he could be a very impactful player at the NFL level. He is my number 107 player in the draft class. Johnson is a tight end who I think could work nearly anywhere. Many people have called him a Y tight end at next level, and I think that could work. I think he works almost as a big slot, similar to how Kansas City uses Travis Kelce, who can be a blocker in space, but is primarily going to be a receiving threat in the NFL. My comparison for Theo Johnson is a Walmart version of Jimmy Graham. They have a very similar build, and both are massive tight ends who are big red zone targets who are good in space. Jimmy Graham has been an absolutely incredible tight end in his NFL career, and I think if Johnson develops the right way, at his peak, could have a very similar impact to what Jimmy Graham has done. Theo Johnson has elite upside. He has size, athletic abilities, and if he can polish his abilities as both a blocker and receiver, could be a superstar. Ultimately, I believe that Theo Johnson will be a third-round pick in the 2024 NFL Draft.